men in this picture are Lucian Carr, Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, and William S. Burroughs. They were all major players in the Beat generation, a group of writers and artists of the 1950s and 60s who rejected mainstream American values, often enjoyed a bohemian lifestyle, experimented with drugs, and found new answers in Eastern spirituality. It should be noted that most of the writers in the Beat generation were college graduates, often attending Columbia, Reed, or Harvard. This generation's influences are far-reaching. They coined many terms still used today like cool, cloud9, hip, and make out. The writers influenced artists such as Bob Dylan, The Doors, and the Beatles. The spelling of the Beatles' name is not just a coincidence. John Lennon was a huge fan of Jack Kerouac. This generation also made significant contributions to literature. Here are a few. Allen Ginsberg wrote many things, including poems, books, and songs. But Howl may be his greatest contribution to modern literature. The poem begins, "I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night." It is an intense poem that landed Ginsberg in court for obscenity in 1957. Rightly so, the court found the poem to be under the protection of the First Amendment and of redeeming social importance. The poem went on to become one of the principal works of the Beat generation. Another Beat who found himself charged with obscenity was William S. Burroughs. His 1957 novel Naked Lunch produced the last major literary censorship battle in the United States, establishing obscenity in literature as a First Amendment right. And finally, the man who coined the term Beat, Jack Kerouac. Kerouac practiced spontaneous prose and wrote of the many mad people he encountered in his life. Most, if not all, of his characters are based on someone he knew. Since he is my favorite Beat author, I will share a little information on 3 of his works, Dharma Bums, The Subterraneans, and On the Road. Dharma Bums tells of Kerouac's experiences with Gary Snyder, the man in the picture. Gary, as Joffe Ryder, lives in a shack with no furniture. He takes Ray Smith, Kerouac's character, hitching and hiking, while still having the energy to party for days on end. His backcountry eccentricities make for a great book about exploration of nature and the self. At one point, Joffe takes Ray on a hike up Matterhorn. Ray is scared to fall, and Joffe informs him that you can't fall off of a mountain, only down. Joffe influences Ray to spend a winter as lookout on top of Desolation Peak. Kerouac described the transcendental experience through such beautiful prose. I too wanted to drop everything and spend a winter all alone atop a mountain. The book included a paragraph I thought amusing for class. It reads, "Colleges, being nothing but grooming schools for the middle-class non-identity, which usually finds its perfect expression on the outskirts of the campus, in rows of well-to-do houses with lawns and television sets in each living room, with everybody looking at the same thing and thinking the same thing at the same time, while the Joffes of the world go prowling in the wilderness to hear the voice crying in the wilderness, to find the ecstasy of the stars, to find the dark, mysterious secret of the origin of faceless, wonderless, crapulous civilization." The Subterraneans is another favorite of mine, since I'm a sucker for a love story. Kerouac shares his love affair with Mardu Fox from start to finish. He is able to put into words every little step lovers take towards each other, and the sad steps back once the relationship has reached an end. In real life, Mardu Fox was Arlene Lee. She was half Cherokee and half black. Some people say that Kerouac was racist, so anyone trying to prove those people wrong may find this book helpful. I have won a few arguments thanks to Arlene. And finally, by far, my favorite book of all time, On the Road. The book follows Kerouac's character, Sal Paradise, on his travels through the United States, hopping on boxcars or into the car of Dean Moriarty. Kerouac claims to have written On the Road in 3 weeks on a 120-foot scroll of tracing paper sheets that he had cut to size and taped together. When the roads were new and railroads provided an illegal but cheap way across country, Kerouac experienced freedom. The first time I read this book, I wanted to quit college and take a trip across the states. And here's my favorite quote from the book. The only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time, the only ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles, exploding like spiders across the stars. And here's Kerouac himself reading about Neal Cassady from the final pages of On the Road.
Anyway, I wrote the book because we're all gonna die. In the loneliness of my life, my father dead, my brother dead, my mother far away, my sister and my wife far away. Nothing here but my own tragic hands that once were guarded by a world, a sweet attention, that now are left to guide and disappear their own way into the common dark of all our death. Sleeping in me raw bed alone and stupid, with just this one pride and consolation. My heart broke in a general despair and opened up inwards to the Lord. I made a supplication in this dream. So in the last page of On the Road, I describe how the hero, Dean Moriarty's come to see me all the way from the West Coast just for a day or two. We've just been back and forth across the country several times in cars, and now our adventures are over. We're still great friends, but we have to go into later phases of our lives. So there he goes, Dean Moriarty, ragged in the moth-eaten overcoat he brought specially for the freezing temperatures of the East. Walking off alone, and last I saw him, he rounded the corner of 7th Avenue, eyes on the street ahead, and bent to it again. Gone. So, in America, when the sun goes down, and I sit on the old broken-down river pier watching the long, long skies over New Jersey, and sense all that raw land that rolls in one unbelievable huge bulge over to the West Coast, and all that road going, and all the people dreaming in the immensity of it. And now I know by now that children must be crying in the land where they let the children cry. And tonight the stars will be out, and don't you know that God is Pooh Bear? The evening star must be drooping and shedding her sparkler dims on the prairie, which is just before the coming of complete night that blesses the earth, darkens all the rivers, cups the peaks, and folds the final shore in. Nobody knows what's going to happen to anybody besides the forlorn rags of growing old. Think of Dean Moriarty, I even think of old Dean Moriarty, the father we never found. Think of Dean Moriarty, I think of Dean Moriarty.